I'm here to talk to you on a subject that's close to my heart. And the subject is, as it says, heritage walks. So, what is a heritage walk? In a simple terms, in a simple language, a heritage walk is nothing but a walk of discovery. It's about discovering yourself. It's about discovering your own city. It's about discovering your ethos. It's about discovering your culture. All of us, even when we say we are individuals, we are human beings, we have a life of our own. There is a small part of our city inside each of us. And if we know our city, it helps to know the people around us, it helps us to know ourselves as well. So, heritage is something that we inherit. It's not something for which we have to take additional efforts. It's God send, if you may call it that. So, it is this heritage that is there that defines a lot of things, a lot of good things about our own cities. If you ask me, what is a city and what is a city composed of? A city has roads, a city has buildings, a city has utilities, it has electric supply, it has water lines. But then all cities have that, don't they? And if all cities have that, why is it that two different cities are not exactly alike? A Chennai is different than a Kolkata, which is different than a Delhi, and of course, which is different than our own dear Pune. It is because there is much beyond these physical factors that define a city. There is, as it's called in Marathi, Hindi, Sanskrit, there is a samskar that a city imbibes on us. And it is knowing this better that helps us to know our own city. So, the better you know us, the better you know the city, the better you know yourself ultimately. And this is the journey of discovery that we attempt as part of any heritage walk. Can you see the building? Does anybody recognize this building? Well, I know it's not exactly a Taj Mahal that you might recognize. And I don't blame you for that. But let me tell you, at least 50% of you, without knowing you, I can safely vouch that at least 50% of you have seen this building because it's at such a prominent place, it's at such an important shopping location that I'm 100% sure that no less than 50% of you over here would have seen this. Okay, let's park this. Just have a show of hands. How many people here recognize this great person? Wow. As I expected, 100%. The great soul, Swami Vivekananda. But isn't it strange that next to a cement building, why am I displaying the picture of Swami Vivekananda? Well, there is a connection. And don't laugh at me when I say this. There is indeed a connection. It was at this place where till about 4 years ago stood Vinsurkar Wada, where Swami Vivekananda stayed when he was visiting Pune. Surprising, isn't it? It was at this place that Lokmanya Tilak stayed before he moved to Kesariwada. Now, this is but an isolated example. Pune at that time was the hub of a lot of leadership activity. And at the nooks and corners of the city, you'll find such anecdotes, you'll find such artifacts, you'll find such buildings that narrate the tale of our city. And the deeper you go into it, you'll come to know the soul of our city much more intimately. Now, I'm sure when you visit this building or when you pass this building, which is on Kumtekar Road, the road parallel to Lakshmi Road, I'm sure you look at this isolated building in a very different light. And this is what it means by knowing ourselves, by knowing the heritage of where we belong from, the heritage of our city. So, what do we do? How do we get to know our heritage better? One way of doing that is through heritage walks. Heritage walk is a curated activity where a heritage expert gets together a group of interested individuals. Yes, that's the important word. It works best when people are interested. They get together a group of interested individuals. The group leader then takes the group through different stories, through the history, through the anecdotes, as the expert leads the group to the different location. And yes, there is a difference between just a normal sightseeing activity and a heritage walk. A normal sightseeing activity, just a casual visitor can participate. But if you really want a heritage walk to succeed or to get the most of out of an heritage walk, it's the interest of the participants and the capability of the heritage walk leader that really counts. But this is a great way of curating any activity related to the heritage of our own city. Now, why do we do a heritage walk? Are there any benefits? Even if I have to think of it in very materialistic terms, what do I get by doing a heritage walk? One of the things that can result positively from a heritage walk is experiencing or reliving the past. The building that you see here, this is the Muzumdar Wada. And you might be surprised to know that this is probably the oldest building in Pune that has been continuously been inhabited for almost 300 years. Yes. The interior parts of this building are as old as around 1730s, while the facade that you see here, it's built in around 1770s. So if you explore such places, you gain first-hand experience of what life was at that point in time, of how water was available, of how people used to cook, of how people used to greet each other, of how you had uh, areas, of how you had living rooms for entertaining people. If you look at this closely, this door is what is called as the Dindi Darwaza. You can see a kind of a small window that is cut in one of the doors. Can you see that? That is called as the Dindi. So all old houses, large houses, had a door of this type. The big door never used to be opened. It used to be closed, and it is this small window that is called as the Dindi that always used to be opened. It was only when there was a special guest visiting, or you had to carry something inside that was too big to accommodate through the Dindi, that the main door used to be open. So experiencing what life was earlier helps you to connect where you are today. And this is one great benefit of participating in a heritage walk. Heritage, history, past, no matter how great, how beautiful it is, change is always the rule. And therefore, a heritage walk helps you to see not a snapshot, but a continuum from the past and see how things have evolved. This humble looking water tank that you see, that is the Nana House. It is opposite Nana Vada. Nana Vada was the Vada of Nana Phadnis. And opposite this is the Nana House. In 1745, around that time, there was a lot of influx of people into Pune because the seat of power had slowly shifted to Pune. The politics of the land was being controlled through this city. It was at that time that there was a lot of acute water storage that was experienced. And to overcome this, Nanasaheb Peshwa built in 1749 two lakes at Kataraj, not too far from this venue. And in a few years, and at a cost of 2 lakh rupees, he built an entire underground, gravity driven water scheme for the city of Pune. So, as early as 1740s, 1750s, Pune had a piped water scheme. Amazing. The best part is this water scheme continues to be functional today, though people don't use it and people have not maintained it well. From a functionality point of view, this water scheme is as good as it was then, and that too at a zero cost. People talk about green energy, people talk about efficiency today, but this is a perfect example where once built without any energy cost, you continue to get water into the city. A lot of people often question that, okay, this is fine, heritage, it's good to know, it's good for culture. What is the material benefit? In 1961, Pune was devastated by a massive flood. Those who are slightly aware of the history would know that the dam, the Panshet Dam, breached, and Khadakwasla Dam also had to be broken at places to make way for water to flow. There was chaos, there was havoc, there was total destruction. When the dam had burst, all the water naturally was released. Water had flown above the bridge, much water had flown below the bridge as well. And with that, where was the water going to come for the whole city? It was then that the wells of Pune and this water scheme had come to the rescue and provided water to thirsty Punekars. So, heritage, yes, it is about knowing the past, but it is also about wisely utilizing what you have inherited from your ancestors. Heritage Walk also helps you to answer some fundamental questions. Over the years, Pune has become an educational hub, and this is not in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This has been for the past many decades. But have you ever wondered what caused Pune to become an educational hub? How far can you trace back the history? If you want to trace back the history, just look at this photograph. The photograph is that of Vishram Bagwada, which was a residence of Bajirao II that was built somewhere in the early 1800s. But of a greater significance is that this is the place where in 1821, the British government established the first Sanskrit college. Later, around 1851, it became an English college as well. The same institution, the same college, around 1864, morphed into, was formed into the very famous Deccan College that was the fountainhead where many of our luminaries studied. With educational institutions, it was not just buildings that came up, it was good people, it was academicians, it was scholars who came here, and they were not passive scholars. They in turn spanned, they in turn even spawned more institutions. New English School, Ferguson College, SP College. Where did it come from? It came from the efforts of the educated elite. The blue plaque that is shown on the screen, Kerunana Chhatre, he was probably the first mathematics professor in the country who taught mathematics at the Deccan College. A self learned person. So we had people of his caliber coming here. And therefore, we dig a little into the heritage, dig a little into the past, and you can answer a lot of questions probably that have occurred to you, but for which you don't have the answer. These steps, routine steps, nothing very beautiful about it, But these steps are the vestiges, is what remains of what was once a city wall around Pune. The city wall no longer exists, but vestiges like these help us to visualize a lot of things. So if you have an expert conducting the heritage walk and the person visits these places, it's very simple for anybody to visualize how it must have been in the past. In Hindi, there's a proverb, जो देखे न रवि so dekhe kavi. So I'm tempted to say that the kavi must have definitely been on a heritage walk. The other thing that you see here is that's called as Virgal, or a hero stone, which is seen in one of the oldest shrines in Pune. And mind you, the oldest shrines is neither the Ganpati at Sarasbag, nor is it the Dagdu Shet Halwai Ganpati. This smaller shrine is called as the Baloba Munja, and which is very much there in Kasba Pet. It is believed to have seen Pune change for the last 500 to 600 years. And that is what heritage walks help us to do. So, heritage walks help us to be aware. They help us to accept the city. They help us to acquaint ourselves better with the city. They help us to appreciate the city. And through the appreciation, ensure there is some kind of warmth that you feel for the city and for everybody who has done so much for the city. You have so much that the city has given you, that acquainting yourself with the city, respecting what the city has given you, and being a part of the ethos that this city is something that you will definitely gain by participating in every heritage walk. And heritage walk is like a time machine. It's a mirror to the past. It helps you to see where you are come from. If you know where you have reached, and if you know how you have come till here, predicting the future too is not very difficult. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a very patient audience. Thank you.